All right, guys, how's it going? EBA out here today. We're talking all about fishing, of course, California fishing. Of course, we're talking about fishing in California, but we're talking about Lake Temescal today. We're talking about Lake Temescal located out there, Oakland, California, Bay Area, California. Kind of a small little fishery, kind of a smaller lake, not a big lake, not a really deep lake, but it's home to a lot of fish. So I want to talk today about fishing Lake Temescal. I want to talk about some of the different species of fish they have there that you can target, some of the ways you can get those fish, you can get on those fish, catch those fish, and we're going to talk about lures, we're going to talk about baits, we're going to talk about different fish. So let's get straight into it. They got a lot of planted rainbow trout at Lake Temescal. So rainbow trout fishing is pretty good there. Generally good from December through the end of February. So right around March, things start getting a bit more difficult. You got to kind of cast out further. You got to get to that deeper water. Come March and April, if you're still going to go out there trout fishing, you're going to want to target the deeper areas of that water, the body of water. You're going to want to find just a little bit of a deeper, whereas right in that December through February, what you're going to find is a lot of shallow fish. You're going to find fish sometimes not even that far out from the shore. They might be really close into the shoreline, so you won't have to cast out far necessarily. I like to do one cast short, one cast further out, just to kind of give me, if I'm in a spot, say it's a good spot, looks good, looks like it's got potential, I'm going to do one short cast, one long cast, just to get an idea. Are they out, deep? Are they in close? Because sometimes these fish are just cruising the shores. So Lake Temescal is notorious for water clarity not being so great. So if you guys are out there, sometimes the water clarity, isn't so, great. So you're going to go out there, and it seems like for me, a lot of times these brighter colors, I like green. So if I'm trout fishing, anything with green, you got chartreuse green, you got glitter chartreuse, you got a spring green, you've got a lime type green, anything with the green. So you've got a lime twist green, I think, that has like green and yellow mixed in the power bait. You've got other options where it's just straight green, or it's got glitter, or it's spring green with glitter, or it's they got different versions. They got your standard power bait, you got your 4-time formula, all this different. But the point is, your green power baits, green pumpkin even, very, very productive. Looks like some moss in the water, doesn't make sense, but they really love that stuff. So anything with green in it, a Castmaster with some green. They have a spring green Castmaster and silver. I mean, that's a good start. That's a great starting point. And from there, what you guys really want to do is, don't forget about your pumping up a night crawler. That's great. Pumping up a night crawler, or just leaving it on the bottom, or even under a float. A night crawler, very effective. Anywhere you go, it's going to catch trout. It's going to catch anything that swims. So that's going to get you right there. That's a head start. Go smaller with your hook size. If you're going with the power bait, go smaller, go 12, go 14, go 16 for your treble hooks. If you're using a single hook, do the same thing. Go 10, 12, 14, go with a smaller hook. It's just easier for them to swallow the bait or get the bait in their mouth. Smaller balls of power bait are more productive. The power bait doesn't fall off as much. The fish can't nibble at it and get the power bait to fall. A lot of times if the power bait doesn't float, it's going to get caught in them weeds or whatever. And a lot of times that's just going to, eliminate the chance of you getting bit. So as far as the trout fishing, that's when that's good. Now let's focus on bass fishing. Let's talk about bass, and then we'll talk about catfish, and then we'll talk about some pan fishing. But the bass fishing at Lake Temescal is actually really good. It's surprisingly good. They have a fairly good amount of bass in there, a good population, a stronghold of 2 and 3s. Like, they're just stacked. 2 to 3 pound bass are stacked in that fishery. That doesn't mean that they don't have bigger ones and they don't have smaller ones. I'm saying that that's the average out there. So let's talk about how to get some of those largemouth. Let's talk about what you need to do. And some of the things that I've found to be productive for the most part is a jig and a pig and a creature bait. Yeah, you can drop shot. You can drop shot anything, anywhere, anytime, any place. Okay, it works. But I really think in that lake, with the clarity and stuff, and some of the just the amount of weeds, the amount of grass in there, the watercolor, all that stuff. I really believe that if you go in there with, say, a creature bait Texas rigged, or you go in there with a jig and a pig with a weed guard, you're gonna be, that's going to be it, And the reason I mention these two baits is because they're the most productive. They catch the most fish there. They're consistent. So year in, year out, different people, myself, doesn't matter. Those baits are productive. So go ahead and get yourself a creature bait. Get yourself a Berkeley Pit Boss. Get yourself a Havoc. Get yourself, I don't care what it is, a beaver bait. It doesn't matter. Get yourself something that's a creature style bait. Get a jig and a pig. You're going to focus on, when you got a creature bait, I really like the 1/4 ounce to 3/4 ounce, 1/4 ounce to a 1/2 ounce are probably the sweet spot there. But 1/4 ounce to a 1/2 ounce will definitely get you more fish for the creature bait. So a 1/4 ounce head on that creature bait to a 1/2 ounce head. And the same thing with a jig and a pig. You want a 1/4 ounce to a 1/2 ounce. You can go up to a 3/4, but 1/4 ounce to a 1/2 ounce, really productive. Here's what's really just as important as what you're going to throw is what colors, because the color really is everything. So there's purples, right? Purples are great. Greens are great. Blacks are great. Even browns are great. So, if you can get a combination of those colors, like black and brown, great. Black and purple, great. Black and, blue, black and blue works pretty well too. But generally, it's very simple, green and black, green and brown, brown and black, like I said, purple and black, purple and brown. All these, they call it PB&J. That's an old school PBJ. But, get yourself on those type of color combinations, two-tone color combinations. It's brown and purple, brown and black, whatever. So the colors I just mentioned are the most productive. Every once in a while, a little bit of red in that jig or that creature bait's good. And every once in a while, a little bit of blue, whether it's just a blue flake or whether it's a hue, can be productive. Generally, when I'm looking for, let's just say it's winter time, the bite's really bad and it's flooding water in there, it's absolute chocolate milk, I'm going to go with that straight black or a black and brown or a black and blue, or a brown and purple or a black and purple, something along those lines to get that bold color to pop in that watercolor. That watercolor, like I said, can get to chocolate milk stage. So when it gets there, you need something that's really dark. As far as your jig and a pig, a double tail 5-inch grub, Gary Yamamoto, you can't beat it. Now, you can go any brand and you can do whatever you want. But if you go with, say, Gary Yamamoto, first of all, you're going to catch fish. People have been catching fish on his stuff forever. But second of all, the reason you buy Gary Yamamoto plastics is because they're softer. They're going to react a bit differently. So they don't stiffen up in the winter. They actually, in the colder months of the year, they actually still get the same movement. So that's really key. And that's why you get bit more on a Yamamoto rather than a lot of other baits. Now, there's some other brands you can go out and spend money, but, Yamamoto's the way to go because it gets bit. It catches big fish, and it's been doing it since 1987. I think that's all that needs to be said about that. So, guys, Lake Temescal, catfish. If you guys are going out there and you want to catfish, right? Chicken liver, you get your sardines. Honestly, you find something in the fridge that went bad, and you're like, oh, maybe this will catch catfish. Maybe it will. It really might. Seriously, but literally you can catch catfish on almost anything out there. Piece of bacon that you didn't eat, I don't know, raw bacon, cooked bacon, it don't matter. You can catch a catfish out of Temescal with that. It's a fairly easy place to catch a catfish. The hard part is getting on those trophy catfish, so like 12+ pound fish, seem to be a little bit tougher to get. But there's a lot of small catfish in there. So if you guys are going out there, it's real simple, you can get away with any hook. You can get away with single hooks, treble hooks. You can get away with big bait, little bait. You can get away with, like I said, sardines, anchovies, chicken livers. You can get away with mackerel. You can get away with guts, any kind of guts from some other kind of an animal. Works really well. Shout out, check the garbage cans, fresh trout guts. But yeah, no, all that stuff is going to get you bit. And, you know, catfishing at that place, you know, pretty much I like the north and I like the south end because they're either going to be at the north end or they're going to be at the south end, primarily because it's not a giant fishery. The north end seems to be fairly deeper, the south end seems to be fairly shallower. And on top of that particular, you know, on top of that information, you know, it does seem like when the wind blows really hard, say south, southwest, they're going to be stacked south, southwest. And when the wind blows really hard northeast, they're going to be stacked northeast on that little body of water. So a lot of fish do dictate their movement based on the wind. So keep in mind that the way the wind's blowing and how hard the wind's blowing and all that really does effectively move these fish. So they might be in an area and then the wind picks up and it really goes and they move a little bit over just because it's more comfortable. It makes more sense for them to just relax, sit there, and you know, not fight the wind all day, right? So if you guys have any questions about this particular fishery, go ahead and you know, ask. I'm trying to help you guys catch fish, you know, fish consistently, catch big fish. So go ahead and ask me any questions. Go ahead and you know, anything you got to ask, anything you want to know, get to me and I will get back to you. I kind of feel like I laid out a lot of stuff. You know, this area is kind of like special because, you know, if you follow the creek that feeds into Temescal, you'll find some areas. I'm not going to go too much into it, but there still is, like there originally was a lot of trout that used to be up further in those hills, and so, you know, there's a little bit of traces of them still being there, but nothing like they were. But it's a really cool place. It's a lot of history, a lot of cool things have happened in this region, this area, this particular place. So if you guys haven't been out to Temescal and you guys are like, hey, it's, you know, it's just small, it's not worth my time, it's kind of like, no, it is a really cool place. It is worth your time. It's got multiple docks for access. It's got lots of access to fish. It's got lots of walking trails and hiking trails. It's a cool place to go. So if you guys haven't been out there, definitely check it out. If you guys have any questions, definitely shoot them my way. I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. All right, guys. Take care.